After reading a few articles and watching some YouTube videos talking about how Larian Studios have not yet worked on DLC for Baldur's Gate 3, and the likelihood that they will not be making any expansions for the game simply because the D&D mechanics that they used for developing it, as well as the fact they don't want to make something boring and then try to sell us something boring. Even though at this point I'd bet my left testicle that anything boring Larian could possibly make would still be leagues above half the bantha shit that most AAA developers give us nowadays. But I had an idea, and I'm sure many others have thought the exact same thing. But why not make the expansions just be like a new mini campaign? Now, I'm not a genius game developer or game dev by any means. In fact, I can barely read and speak English. I also am not a seasoned D&D player, and I'm sure this will still not be an easy task for Larian to undertake. But if one of the main reasons for them not being able to make DLC for this game is the leveling system from 12 to 20, then why not just do a new story altogether? Kind of like the older D&D video games, like Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, or Neverwinter Nights, where we just start off making a new character from level 1 and going from there. It could be cool to get something like that instead of having to bring over the same companions and characters and areas of the game. I know a lot of people will say, well, at that point, just make a sequel, but this wouldn't have to be a sequel. Instead of having 3 huge acts with so many areas, you could just have one big area, right, with 3 mini acts. You could even use the same assets, systems, spells, weapons, and skills, the animation assets, like everything's there. Larian has already created an almost perfect D&D game base, so all you would have to do is the story and the dialogue, new enemies. I'm not saying it's going to be cakewalk, but it really, you don't have to start from scratch, and it doesn't have to be insanely huge. And I know that the leveling system can't really go past 12. Like I said, I understand it wouldn't be easy, but I'm sure with all the success the game is getting, they should have money and resources at this point to at least make one expansion. It doesn't even have to be insanely huge. It could just be something. Or at least maybe they could, focus on releasing like developer tools and kits to help modders make their own campaigns. That would be really cool. But even if they were going to do an expansion, it would be like no rush. You guys can take all the time you want. It just seems like a missed opportunity to not use the system they've made to expand on the story just a little bit. Especially after like all the time and effort they've put into the systems. It just makes sense to kind of build off of it. On another note, Larian have said that they will only announce something when they know it's ready or when they know that they can actually make it. So honestly, it's possible that they could already be making DLC. They just haven't, said so yet. I'm pretty sure that they have ideas, at least. And they've probably messed around with some concepts and maybe some like prototypes. They've had to. I mean, like, there's no way they haven't. Like, when you're working on a game like that and you're that enthusiastic about it, there's no way your brain just turns off and you don't like think of new things to do in the game world. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. Anyways, if we do get DLC or not, thank you to Larian for making this amazing game. We all look forward to whatever you guys are going to do next, either way. And the only reason I made this video is just because I kind of had a thought about it, and this is a community that's pretty huge at this point, but it's also still like growing, especially with like content on YouTube. Most of the content is kind of just centered around builds, which is cool. They're actually really, really creative. And I just kind of wanted to, put my 2 cents out there and maybe see what some other people think about it. You know, if you have ideas or thoughts about what, you know, I was talking about, you can leave them in the comments and we can have a conversation. But other than that, though, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and get back to playing Baldur's Gate. So I will see you guys later.